Watch spot. Hey, it is I, Kamurai. I'll never do that again. But to keep it with the horrible tradition of this show, I'm never consecutively doing this show on the same night of the week 2 times in a row. It's Saturday we're doing this, so this will be slightly longer as we try to catch up with things. Where to begin? Let's go with out of season TV, then we'll go to movies, then we'll go to current TV so that we keep up. Episodes is really interesting because they're ending pucks, at least in the show. The show that's in the show. If you're unfamiliar with episodes, it's all about Matt LeBlanc being an actor. It's his great return to television, which is funny that he's doing a show, which is his great return to television since Joey, about a show where he's doing. Okay, it's the meta, but whatever. So they pulled some English people over that have worked on like Green Wing and Not Going Out and things like that. Very funny people. And the show on the network that they're all working at in the show called Pucks is failing, and they're like Matt's winning out, and there's all the stupid drama that's going on. Charlie from Revolution shows up at one point. So that's a great episode. You should definitely check that out. Like, you need another reason to watch the show. It's fucking hilarious, and Matt LeBlanc's awesome. So the whole thing is, the big hullabaloo is that season 3 ends pucks, and the English people are wanting to go back to England. Or are they? Ooh. Because they've not had the best time here in America, and Hollywood's a cesspool of a place, and actors don't have souls, etc. So if that's interesting, season 3 is worth checking out. If you've seen the first 2 seasons, it's a lot more the same, but it's kept pretty fresh. They finally dropped the head of comedies like single line retort thing, which is really good to see her actually out, because I saw her in something else. I'm like, why are they wasting her with which those lines are funny, but whatever. But they try to keep what people liked or supposedly liked in the series going, along with keep putting new fresh stuff and taking the story in new directions, which I think is kind of a key how you do things. So I was really happy to see more episodes, and I want more episodes, but horrible name, bad marketing decision there. I just really wish they hadn't done that, because I think it would have caught on a lot better if it was like episodes what? But that sounds like a writer's joke where they're like, yeah, that's the whole idea. Because I get it, and I'm sure other people get it, but not everyone gets that. In your marketing, you want to appeal to the broadest sense of our audiences. Let's see. Revolution. Okay, here's the deal. I stuck through Revolution season 1, and it was such a great thrill ride. They got renewed, and they went to season 2, and I don't know what happened. I think once we got into the bigger picture that everybody wanted, it got really fuzzy about like where they were going and everything, so people kind of dropped out. Especially since we ended up gaining so many different characters, we had so many different concurrent storylines, that I think it didn't keep the attention for people who wanted to follow one storyline. Because for whatever reason, we're in a day and age where people don't understand that we're in the short attention span thing, and that whole comic book universe of concurrent storylines happening in one show doesn't appeal to people as much, which is a shame, because that's how you get some of the best writing into your mediums. And honestly, I would love a series of shows that all ran in the same universe at the same time in parallel, so that people could follow like the one storyline, and then based on what character was the center of those shows, it would fall, and you might have like a couple characters that bounce between the 3 shows. But I think that would honestly be the thing that would drag people in. I wish somebody would do that. It would be a nightmare to try to sell the DVDs because the chronological order would be all off. Or you'd be seeing similar things. I don't know. Like, you'd have to watch one show out of each of the 3 series, and then go to the second show of each of the 3 series. So you'd have to, that's it. You'd have to market it and sell it all together. You could sell them individually as well, but you can sell a box set where they're actually shown in the order that they're written in, chronologically, and then you can have the individual box sets where they're chronological by show. And one of the two would end up being a collector's thing that people just buy to me. Look, I got this on my shelf. My concern is not so much selling the actual DVDs, but selling them the shows like digitally, because Viva la Digital. You don't need any more discs. Okay, I'm going to avoid that joke. But watching the end of Revolution, I just want to remember how it ended. And I still can't really remember how it ended because it kind of just stops. Like, they go through the whole thing where they're fighting the Meta? What is it called? The Nano, that's right. And what really bothers me is I thought I remembered more than what is showing here on Netflix, because the Patriots, it's all about the Patriots, stopping the Patriots, and stopping the Nano. And that's the thing, is they somehow managed to stop the Patriots with the help of Texas. And like, I really don't know what's going on with California. It's a really weird thing. But I really thought I saw episodes where they went to Ohio. It was like, because there's a whole thing with the Nano telling people to go to Dayton, Ohio or something. And I don't remember what that was, because the whole thing was that, like, the Nano was coming to people as God, and making profits so that people would follow the profits, and the Nano wouldn't have to work so damn hard to be God. And it wanted to funnel people to Dayton, Ohio or something like that. I'm going to have to look it up and do some research. If I thought that far along the path, I would have wondered, because, I mean, it stops at Season 2, Episode 22. I pulled it up on IMDb earlier, and for some reason I closed the window. So that could be super interesting there. That kind of ends old TV, so I'm going to look at this real quick. But the town, the dreaded Sundown. Texarkana. I think this is a real town. There's apparently a town on the Texas-Arkansas line, so Texarkana. But there's like some urban legend there about like a guy who wears a hood and spies on lovers trying to get privacy, and then kills them for being sinful fuckers or whatever. But they actually mix this up really well. It reminds me a lot of Scream in a lot of different ways. Though the budget isn't very good and some of the acting's not super great, the writing's superb. I just wish they had a better execution. But like, one of the girls gets away. I don't want to ruin the ending, but like, they do some things where it's like, well, how is the killer here, here, and here all at the same time? And it's not like it's a whole cult, but like, you can make some logical jumps here and there. And the whole thing is based on like them showing this movie at this drive-in theater or whatever. And like, whenever that gets shown, the killer shows up, blah. And like, there's actually like real people in the movie, real life people in the movie that are associated with the movie, and the actual killers and whatnot, and evidence, the cover-ups, and all kinds of craziness. So it's really interesting to see that sort of thing play out in the movie, and really not knowing where it's going to go, or having a good idea, and then you get the satisfaction of being like, oh yeah, that's where it went. So season 2. I just want to make sure all the episodes are here. But so it's not a great movie, but if you like cheesy, bad horror movies, go for it. It's good enough for a watch. I think I gave it 3 stars. I liked it. I did just now. Ancient Aliens. I forgot about this. This is still the most boring thing I can think of to put on at night to make me fall asleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping, watch that. It should help a lot. Oh, good. They don't. Oh, they do. Episode 22. But there's nothing about like the prophets in Ohio. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's gonna bother me all night if I don't. Okay, but moving on. Killer Mermaid. This is one to put on your bad movie night list. If you have a bad movie night club or anything of the sort, or you just want to show someone like, oh, this was a shit movie, Killer Mermaid, put it on there. It's not the worst thing ever, but for the amount of work and budget they had to spend towards the effects, you would think they would back up everything else to try to make the movie sell a little bit better in execution. But the whole basis is that the siren song bit, like men, not women, are attracted to the song she sings, are mentally controlled or some such nonsense. Where they could have mixed it up at least and like put like a lesbian or a bisexual in play, and that would at least give it a fresh spin. They didn't do that. Personally, you should just be trapping humans like that. Because if you're eating people, you're eating people, and that's what it is. Okay, and then I didn't really watch a lot of movies. Oh, I did watch some other movies. Hold on, before I talk about this other one. The Giver. The Giver was kind of a exercise in, what's the word? Pretentiousness. I hear people talk about transcendence like that, where I don't get that feeling. I do get it here. It's about some society that has removed emotions, and you're getting injections every day as blockers, and because you never have them, you don't know you're without, so you're fine with it. You're not happy, but like you're fine with it. And then like there's all these things like there's no contact between non-family members, like physical contact. I have no idea how relationships are supposed to work, because the only relationship that we really focus on, I mean, even mom and dad are kind of just weird, but like the main character and his little girlfriend or whatever, and that's because he gets released from the program so that he can receive the knowledge of the previous generations, because apparently we're using people as hard drives, and I'm just laughing because like I've realized how stupid this movie sounds, as pretentious as they act, because there is a lot of thoughtfulness that's going in here. But the head director or whatever is communicating with the giver, and the new guy, main character, is the receiver. And so every time they pick a new receiver, there's trouble with him. Like they go through this pattern of trying to tell other people and trying to enlighten other people, and then they're questioning whether or not their society works. And it's all an extension for us to make us question our own society and what we're doing. And like it never seems like the focus of that is very well formed. It'd be much more not simple but direct and effective to show real world and examine it. Like be like, well, what if we changed this? What if we did this? What if maybe like we took away people's free will and gave them the right world? Like, wouldn't they be better off? Instead of going to like a world where we have no free will and then people get to choose the right decisions for themselves. I get that. I get that we want to like revel in our freedom and America, fuck yeah. But no, we need some movies that are the other direction, where we actually are making progress in the sense that like life is actually better, and not just that we have more freedom And I think that it's better this way because I like boobs and I think boobs can be everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, so that's the what's really sad out of these 3 movies that I'm looking at that I got in and watched, the one that I'm going to clamor about the most is actually the most surprising. But The Canyons, it's Lindsay Lohan's latest movie that I'm aware of, which does not hurt it at all, whether or not you think that. She actually looks a lot better than I thought she would. Maybe it's movie makeup, but she doesn't look like a 45-year-old I'm sorry, she doesn't look like a 30-year-old and a 45-year-old body like she has in some of the news reports. And to be honest, like, there's some nudity and stuff in this movie, and not that I'm like, ooh, cock, but like they didn't bother to get rid of that because there's just some scenes where it's like it just doesn't make any sense to hold a towel there or whatever. They're gonna walk upstairs and fuck, so they just let it fly, which is I'm fine with. I actually like that we've gotten that far with lack of censoring nonsense and everything, and yeah, some popular movies. So like I'm glad that's a thing, and I'm hoping that like that trend will progress because we don't need to be ashamed of that. It's just what it is. It's yeah, we're already talking about everything that's going to happen and we're going to show some things happening. Like yeah, just why not? But I mean, she just pulled her tatas out and great, yeah, wonderful. Not the point, but so that's there for Purbies if you want to go watch it for that. But the movie's all about like this intricate, I call it a love triangle, but it's like a love septagram because it's all about like who's fucking who in the Hollywood scene. And like it's trying. Like some of them are trying to make a movie happen, and like the rich guy's producing the movie, but the actor is doing like the casting director and like the producer, who's the producer's girlfriend, and then the producer's doing like the junior producer or whatever. I don't know. It's like it's this really fucked up, mixed up thing where like you could be like, well, you guys could just trade up and you'd all be fine, but nobody really wants that. They all want their perfect lie to be what it is because that's what's presented to the world. So that's what they have to believe in. So that's so if for a psychology standpoint, it's a beautiful movie. There's just all this crazy intricacy and like problems that people have with themselves and their life and what they would do with money and without money and call to power. Like what you can get away with is what you would do as long as there's no consequences. There's lots of that level of thinking with it, and really makes it a good movie. I would totally recommend it. You just have to not be squeamish about sex. And focus on the rest of the movie, and I think that's where it's at. So the movie, I'm going to rave about just a little bit here, just a little bit. I'm notorious for not liking Ben Stiller, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I liked Dodgeball, but I didn't like it because of Ben Stiller, even though that was his movie. Like, he got behind the project and everything, and his wife, I think, was the main female character. But, like, the best part of his in that movie was the fat suit part, just because it was like, why, really? There's something about putting like people in fat suits. I don't know. It's shamefully amusing. I'll own that. What's the other bit? The Zoolander. Like everyone like raves about Zoolander, and I did not like that movie. It's got its moments. It definitely does, but other than the Derek Zoolander's school for kids that don't read so good scene, I could probably do without most of it, most of him in there, but that he's most of the movie, so it's like I'm laughing at Mugatu and not Owen Wilson. He was even worse. But yeah, it's just where it is. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is pretty fantastic. Now, once you get past the first daydream sequence and you're like, okay, well, that's what happens, then it's a lot better. But he's this quiet guy, and like he zones off, he daydreams, and like that's his secret life as far as I'm concerned. That like he daydreams about being a hero and being a better citizen and having a more action-filled life. And it all starts with like him talking to Patton Oswalt on about his online dating profile. He's paid something like $500 a year or something for the service. So of course it's like Patton Oswalt's basically a concierge. But he's just trying to like link or like the girl that works at his office. So like we're investigating that storyline the whole time. His office just got acquired by another company, so he's trying to transition with that and keep his job. On top of that, he's the negatives manager, like for photographs. So he gets the negatives in from all these photographers all over the world that they send out to capture things, and then he handles it. He's never lost a single negative, except for the one they want, because there's something on there that maybe like no one believes, but they can't find it. So for whatever reason, like he gets sent out to, or he sends himself out to go get it from the photographer, because he thinks it never got there, or ask him what's on it and where he might have a copy of it or whatever. So it sends him like on this journey to Iceland and everything, and he gets in like a bar fight, and like I don't know if he gets hit on the head or what, but like he has this moment of clarity because he's a smart guy about the situation. He talks his way out of it, and then he has like this daydream that causes this revolution in himself. And he starts living out the action that he'd want in life, because instead of daydreaming about doing better, he's like, well, I could just do better. So like he runs and he jumps onto a moving helicopter, not like on top of it, like into the side of it. And that event has like just causes this whole chain of events where like he has this crazy journey thing, and that journey where he's going through everything, it's really well done. And yes, it's got some good action in it. I'm not talking about like shooting at people, but it's got some great action in it, done by Ben Stiller. But like I like that character a lot, that Secret Life of Walter Mitty character. Some of the storyline's a little contrived, and some of it's like, oh, well, that's really cliche that married girl's husband's at the house, because obviously he still wants to do her, but she's done with that. But I really like that. It's actually feels very uplifting. It's funny without trying to be, I think. So the humor is very subtle. So I would categorize it as almost an action drama that happens to be funny. Those are the type of movies that I really like, are the ones that don't fall into one category. It's not like, well, this is a drama, so we must dramatize as much as possible. But it happens to go that direction without fully committing, and just cherry picks the best things out of all the worlds. I really think that's the way to go when you're making a movie, and it's the way that I tend to enjoy movies. It's why I never categorize action films as action films. They're always comedies or dramas with some action content. And if you are nothing but action, you are not a movie. You are just some colors and things happening on a screen for me to stare at. It's like watching a guy get kicked in the balls. Super compulsive. You might even laugh a little bit. It's dramatic because he's in a tragedy. But get your tail out of the way. But it's not full entertainment. It's certainly not a show. It's not a movie. Kick in the ball show. But along that same vein, because I can put this away now, if there's a movie I would recommend to you that I'm going to point out between now and next year, it's going to be Horns. If you remember Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter and Frick himself, he's grown up now. He's moved on to other things. This was actually in 2013. But he's not just showing his cock on stage. This is a good movie. This is amazing. I have no idea where they got the idea for the premise, and they used like one of my favorite names, Ig. I like Igby, but they call him Ig throughout the movie. It's got romance, it's got drama, it's got tragedy, it's got murder, it's got mystery, it's got some action, it's got craziness happening, it's got good psychology going on. This is the roundabout movie of that I've the best roundabout movie I've seen in like the longest time. And there's some things that are just totally out of left field. You aren't going to see them coming the way they come. You might be, oh yeah, that guy did it. we're all watch now. This is gonna happen, but you're not gonna. You're either gonna see that it's coming or how it's gonna come, but you're not gonna be able to catch like when and everything. You're not gonna have all the answers because this movie is just so out there. The whole premise is kind of crazy on its own because the kid. Okay, so the movie starts with Daniel Radcliffe getting up for the day. He listens to a song. He goes outside. There's all these people protesting his existence, and it turns out that like he's been accused of murdering his girlfriend, and like the whole town believes he did it, but he's claiming innocence. Come on, stop clawing me. So he's claiming innocence, and he's working with his lawyer, etc. But it turns out there's all these different issues that were going on. So we actually get some flashbacks for context. But I really wish they had just given us that in a chronological order. I don't think it serves the movie to do flashbacks for this. And the first flashback is really just to set up that we're going to do a couple more flashbacks so that you don't complain about those as much. But the whole premise of the movie is that, like, okay, he bangs the town's one of his good friends. Who that's really a shame. I kind of wish they would have ended up together. Not to spoil that particular thing, but like he's obviously not interested from the very beginning. So maybe after the movie they get together, that would be nice. So like afterwards he wakes up in the morning and he's got these two bumps and he's like, what's going on? And he's actually watching them grow out of his head. And as he walks out, like he notices that he's affecting the girl that he had slept with, and like so everywhere he goes, people kind of see the horns, but they forget about it as soon as they look away. But they're like super honest with him while they're in his presence, and he can kind of command them, or he can suggest things. It's like they're hypnotized. So he uses that to help solve his girlfriend's murder. And there's some other things that happen throughout the movie, which I will not spoil, because go watch this movie, go watch this movie, go watch this movie. If there's any movie I can recommend, it would be this right now. Oh, man, I should probably actually do a full review of it if I can get back to doing that. I haven't recorded on my camera in forever. It's lonely. Okay, so that's stuff we'll look at later. All right. Now here comes the lengthy portion of the show. If you thought that was, I'm sorry. But it's been a while since I did this. I'm looking back. The last watch session that I had that I remember I was talking about New Girl in the Swoot. That was 10 days ago, so I'm going to talk about 9 days ago forward because I am at least 2-3 days behind where I'd normally be. So it's not just going to be 7 days. It's going to be 9 days worth. And I'll try to go back through it as best I can. I was super excited in The Flash. One of the reasons why I continue to watch the show, and I really got it, other than they did such a great lead-in from Arrow, and I want to see things that are happening in that universe together, is Daniel Panabaker. And I know I sound like a shallow dick when I say it's because of the pretty girl, but it totally was, at least in the beginning. I continue to watch it even though it's a little boring at times because he's like the fledgling superhero, and even though he has powers, he has no real idea how to use them. And they did a whole episode or two with the Arrow kicking his ass and teaching him just that. So it's not just me. So once he like becomes a full-fledged superhero, like maybe it'll be a better show. But like for now, she's by far the best part of it. So like they go out to like some karaoke bar, and for whatever reason they get drunk because maybe she's just shy. But they both decided they need to move on relationship-wise. I can't even remember who they were fighting, like villain-wise there. But that's the whole big thing, is that they're trying to get by that. And so sure enough, Jackass ends up pulling a number from someone who works with his best friend, girlfriend person that he was all hung up on before. So that ruins any pretension of him and Caitlin getting together, which for shame, because I ship them, etc. And not Ronnie, because Ronnie's her ex. But the other guy is just too goofy to go with Caitlyn properly, or maybe it's what she needs. But I'm really hoping something happens there. Let's move on to the Arrow, because we're going to come back around to Flash later, I think. Still operating with the Oliver Devon, just review Stop Brick. Oh my gosh, did I fall asleep during this one? I don't remember this. I don't remember what happened with this. Let me say that, because I know Brick's been stopped, but for Uprising, the whole contention was teaming up with Malcolm Merlin to do that, and then there's the whole thing where like the honesty between Oliver and Thea and trying to get everything out in the open and without losing everybody, and of course I think Merlin's the one that ends up out emotionally with Thea on that one, but they're decided to start training together and try to get them ready for Ra's al Ghul. But first they got to get Rick out of the way, and I know they managed to do it, but I don't remember how. So I honestly may have fallen asleep during that or something, or I may have just been sick. I have some blank spots over the past week or so, but I do remember the Supernatural where the freaking candy witch from Hansel and Gretel shows up. Mad props for bringing that in. That was just super interesting because we didn't have any Crowley during all that, though the witch was sent by the Coven to deal with Rowena, but she fucked up because she started poaching humans. So she was changing them into kids so she could eat them because apparently kids taste better. So Dean was like 14-year-old Dean with the girl he was trying to hook up with, turning to 14 as well. And in an interesting twist, because he didn't have the mark when he was 14, it was the way to get rid of the mark, and they ended up going back on it. But because the solution was destroyed, they couldn't change the girl back, and she looked at it as a fresh start. Though she went as a fresh start to start on the street, which I don't see that as being like a super great solution. They should have at least pointed her towards Castiel and the daughter of his host. Like, that actually would have been a good team up to get two people to support each other and they can trust because they're both kind of in the same boat of things. Okay, so out on the middle, I'm glad to see some disparity between Modern Family and the middle finally. They go on a train and Brick decides that he's going to try to be a normal person, like academically, of course, because he doesn't have the knack to be normal, and it doesn't matter. As long as he lives a life he enjoys. But he has this nice adventure, and then it turns out the kid he's trying to hang out with is a douchebag anyways. So he backs out of it, thankfully, and they end up taking their dead aunt like on a train across state lines and take care of things. And it all turns out to be a thing, even though like people don't necessarily show it or whatever, that they're dependable and you can count on family. And yay, heartwarming story. Modern Family, rash decision. That's funny. Like baby Joe ends up having a rash or whatever, and it's all about Gloria trying to get rid of Stella. The guy's dog. I can't remember their names, and I can't remember what's happening with the Dunphy family on this one. So it obviously wasn't the center of it, but obviously it's all about people jumping to conclusions about things, etc. And maybe it does have at least similar morals that, like in the end, you can count on family. But what was it? Stella was hanging out at the gay couples, Cam and nope, can't remember his name. Mitchell. Mitchell's house with Lily, and like the dog was sleeping with Lily and storing and keeping her up. So there's this whole thing where they don't know how to take care of their daughter because they don't know what she actually wants because she just kind of goes along with things. And they just assume, like, oh, she's a good person. She must love the dog. She's getting really attached. No, she hated the dog. Glad to be shot at it. And Cam just wanted the dogs. Maybe that's why, because Cam liked the dog, so they just assumed. I don't know. Funny shows. Something a little less funny. I really enjoyed this because it really put Carter in her place on the show. She hooked up with the Howling Commandos, which was good to see them back in the mix, to go do some covert op stuff in Russia, which they couldn't have got the Howling Commandos without her. So it's really her leading the dude's mission. I want to say like 2 agents get downed, and like one of them panics, and she's the only one, damn cat, that keeps her shit together. And so like not only is she kicking ass, and like they end up pulling one of the guys out of the fire, one of the captives out of the fire, but they discover more about the little assassin girl school. Because the neighbor's been revealed to be like one of them at this point. I want a better name for it. Like it's all part of Leviathan, which I think is just the head of Hydra. And I could be wrong about that because I don't know anything about Leviathan in particular. But so in that episode, we were seeing more and more of that develop, and we know that something special is going to come out of it, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I'm trying to go through these in chronological order. Whether or not that's the right way to do this, I don't know. The 100, because I am loving this show. This show has been fantastic. Bellamy is inside. He's working with Maya to throw a coup. The 47, I think, are down to like the 40, if not less. They're getting killed. The marrow transplants are taking. Oh, man. But there's all these power conflicts because Clark's in charge of the Sky People as far as the Grounders are concerned, even though Clark's mom thinks she's in charge of the Ark People, and Kane's being used as an ambassador in places, and it's a really complicated scenario, and I applaud for being able to write this nonsense. But I am kind of getting the feeling at this point in the series that Lexa is kind of crushing on Clark somehow, and I think it's just kind of how they roll. And it's almost because like Clark's showing lack of emotion that Lexa is starting to bleed emotion, because Lexa is this emotionless robot thing. But I'm really kind of upset with where it's going because I want things to happen, and it looks like things are just weirdly happening in all the odd ways. Oh, man. Going on to Christella. Oh, yeah, she gets promoted up to Trent's assistant, and it's all about how, like, it's actually a demotion, and she gets offered permission permanently, and the whole thing leading up to that is that if she takes the permanent position, and she's raising up from intern, but she's never getting to associate, which is the way you get to partner, because the assistant is below associate, so you've got to hold out a little bit longer in intern to get to associate so that you can work your way to partner. It's how lawyers work, I guess. So it's this funny math problem that they're actually making fun of. And it's really funny. The funniest bit is that out of the 3 interns, one's his daughter, so she's not doing shit. And then there's Josh and Christella's the good, hardworking intern. Not that Josh isn't hardworking, but she's actually slightly more capable. She's more diverse. So, like, the joke is that Josh is going to end up being the assistant. I think ultimately they're going to end up hiring somebody else, but because Josh is going to probably try to turn it down. But we haven't got there yet with that storyline. And I don't even know if they're going to pursue that. Maybe I'm just making up things for a world that doesn't exist. Oh, it's almost like writing. Grimm. This is actually going in exciting routes. We're pursuing Juliet more and more and more. There's a whole thing with I'm trying to figure out how to say this, Mary Chazet. I can't remember how they said it in the show. But it's a Manticore, it's a scorpion guy, and he's going around assassinating people for the Vested Council, and because Nick's a cop and he has to do his job, he ends up coming across the murders going, oh, I kind of recognize this. They talk about it, and like Rosalie decides to contact the Vested Council because that's worked out well enough in the past, and they're trying to be diplomatic and work with them instead of against each other. But because the Vested Council is this exclusionary God complex thing in another country, another continent, even though like people working for them are like, oh, they shouldn't be doing this, I'll send the order anyways. Insanity of it all. So they try to put a hit on Nick. Nick, the assassin, goes to the house, and Juliet ends up taking care of him. It seems to be that Juliet turning into an accident beast, especially in everything, is more and more of a good thing every episode. And I'm liking Juliet the badass. Because that character's always had it in her, even though she's a healer by nature. So, like, I'm super happy to see this empowerment happen, even if it's through this weird fashion. Glee, because we were watching this now. A Burt Bacharach tribute, I don't even remember what that is. Oh yeah, Mercedes shows back up, which is fun. She's a fun character. But I really wish they would just stop bringing the old characters. They need to get rid of the old characters and let the new ones shine. I think that's why Melissa Benoist isn't there anymore. I'm still upset about that. She should be there. Don't understand. But like Artie's still there, and like Brittany's still hanging around somewhat. Santana's still around somewhat. Let's get rid of these fuckers. Even like Mr. Shu at this point has moved on and is at another school. Blaine's at another school. Porcelain, forgive me for that. He will eventually move away. Rachel will eventually be gone once the next thing comes up. She ended up applying to New York, some school in New York again. So eventually, like, there should be some equilibrium, and I hope they don't take the whole season to do it. They don't need to take the rest of the season to fix the show. They can just fix the show now, and then they have a better hope for the next season. Mulaney. John dating a single mom. Okay, John Mulaney as a character, I realize it's based on his real-life persona, but John Mulaney as a character, I have the same concerns he has. He shouldn't be around kids. He doesn't understand them. He wasn't a very popular kid when he was growing up, so he doesn't have the history to relate to. And it seemed like he was getting on better with the kid than the mom for this case, because the kid was a nerd and everything, and he could relate to that at least. And like the kid was into vintage stuff that he was into when he was growing up, etc., etc., etc. And for whatever reason, he set her up to do the same failures he did when he was in a young girl or boy or whatever you want to call it. And he abandoned it, and then he expected her to stand it when he didn't, and he abandoned her. So totally fucked up, but I liked the kid that they got to play her. She was fun. So fully for that. I don't know. It's such a weird show. I don't see the direction for it. And then Family Guy, Quagmire's mom. I'm not rubbing my face. This is literally my reaction to this episode. Like, we learned that Quagmire is definitely his mother's son. Like, Peter ends up finding out his name is actually Justin, so he ends up going all Bieber with it until Lois makes him change his name back illegally, so that Peter erases this Justin persona. And then it turns out, like, at one of the parties he throws, one of the girls comes over to Quagmire's, and she's lying about her age all over because they do that, and that's not fair. Like, if I ask you your age and you say you're 21, anything past that is past you, because I'm treating you like an adult at that point, because I can't assume you're a liar. So if someone fucks you when you say you're 21, you're 16, fuck you. The parent's responsible for that lie, and you need to work it out. That's not a thing. Especially if the kid's not even saying, like, oh, he raped me. Okay, that's too serious an issue for this. So that's what my problem is with this show. It's like they took a very serious issue and they really tried to make light of it because he ends up being a sex offender and he has to go around and tell everyone he's a sex offender again, I think, because I think there were already some Miranda Law jokes in the previous episodes, especially with Meg, and, like when he's going to babysit him. And then, like, apparently, like, his mom does the judge or whatever to get him out of prison. I don't know. It wasn't really worth watching after the first 5 minutes or so, like, after he slept with her, and you're like, oh, well, that's what this is about. Bleh. Oh, yeah. Huge episode of Castle. Oh, my God. That was... I can't believe they spent they managed to do it in one episode. They brought back 3XK and the surgeon that was doing up victims. Like, they handed the police all the information they need. All of it. To the point where, like, he basically confessed to being Jonathan Perry or whatever the guy's name is. But, like, he's assumed another character or another persona. And they've already gotten all the evidence. And, like, it just, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if they just stopped playing by the rules and executed them. Because they have all the information, but they can't prove it in court, so they can't do anything about it, which is really bullshit. And maybe that's the whole point of the episode, is to make you question whether or not, like, the law works like that. All right, swinging back around to New Girl. So this is where we should have been catching up, is the 3-day mark, and then there's a couple others past that. The Crawl, Nick broke up with his girlfriend that they do nothing with because whatever. Or she dumped him. So he ends up doing this pub crawl that he wanted to do that makes the smiley face, but it doesn't because you have to connect dots. Sometimes their logic in that show is fucking painful. And I watch it for Joey Deschanel, and really, like, her and Cece are kind of the light of the show. And Schmidt is pretty good on times, like, but he's nominally an antagonist to the situation. So, like, he makes a good villain times. Coach actually has a really good part in this, now I think about it. But, like, it's the representation of things. Winston was actually pretty annoying this episode, but he was the supportive guy friend character. And there's a whole thing with, like, whether or not Will, I think is his name, is going to go back to England. Whether Cece and Schmidt are going to get back together, but Zoe, whatever her name is, and him, like, she actually does the big move, which I was happy with, because that character and her and Schmidt were kind of hitting an end, and I'm glad they revitalized it, because I want to see more of her in the show, and I want to see more reasonable action between them as a relationship, because it will be pretty interesting to see that. So just after Daniel Panabaker's character Caitlin gets over Ronnie or whatever on the Flash, I'm sorry, Barry ends up going out with the other girl, causing some weird problem with, I don't remember her name, his foster parents' daughter, that lady. And so he ends up running out on her a couple times because he's got other responsibilities, and he tries to they end up trying to make that work. But Caitlin's case, Ronnie comes back, but it's not Ronnie. It's Ronnie and some professor sharing his body via the firestorm thing that they've been investigating. So we get a lot of answers, but not really any conclusions. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I really kind of I wanted more closure than opening this back up for Caitlin. I don't think it's fair on that character, but it makes things more interesting, I guess. And I'm wondering if we're going to run out of metahumans at this point. Like, the Arrow is interesting because he's gone the Batman way. He's like, we're not going to kill. So the villains always show back up. But, like, they're actually imprisoning successfully these villains. So I'm not sure who's going to show back up. I'm not that familiar with the Flash universe. and I'm barely familiar with the Green Arrow universe, not nearly as intimately as I am with Gotham. So hoping to keep learning things and seeing what's going to happen. Back over on Supernatural for the latest episode, Halt and Catch Fire. Sam didn't discover who was killed and why this ghost. This was actually really interesting. I think I've seen movies based off this. Normally, like, there are rules in Supernatural. You don't need as big a suspension of disbelief as, like, Grimm, because, like, weird things happen. You just kind of make shit up, and everything's got a funny name, and it's all done weird. Supernatural has very defined laws on how things work. Even the Leviathan had rules, and Death had rules, but, like, so it was all about how to work around them. Ghosts are always attached to a body remains of a body or an object that they're haunting, normally because the remains are so still closely associated with that, like skin dust is embedded in the nonsense or something. So you can destroy either one and get rid of the ghost, or the ghost is forced to move on because it doesn't have any attachment to this world. Well, in the case of this latest assignment, the whole premise was that, like, there was a ghost that wasn't either one of those things, that it was floating around killing co-eds, and they couldn't figure out how to do it, and it turned out like it was attached to the Wi-Fi, which is kind of playing with the rules a little bit. But I guess he was attached, he started haunting the wire system, if you will, because the wire that electrocuted him was attached to a Wi-Fi network, so he uploaded or whatever. And I get that, and I'd even be okay with the ghost haunting the car, not the car, but like the situation. Like oh, these were the people involved in my death. I haunt them. Like, I'd be okay with people haunting people. That would be okay. But there's a really interesting way to how they ended up resolving this and battling them out. And of course, it's Supernatural, so they pretty much have a happy ending with it. This is probably my favorite episode. As much as I liked Agent Carter the week before, oh man, seeing Peggy kick everyone in the SSR's ass, that was great, because she goes on the lam. And then she actually gets, I think they actually catch her at some point. Oh, but yes, they don't catch her. The assassin does. That was next door, and she's all about to kill her and everything. And I still don't know why she's being targeted, but like, she's by far the most competent person at that office, and so they just walk up and handcuff her while she's unconscious, and they take her in. So the SSR is about to get read in on a bunch of stuff, or she's going to play hardball with them because they think she's a traitor just like Stark, but we know Stark isn't, and we know enough about Leviathan. The real trick is, while all this is going on, while the most capable officer is actually arrested, we've got Mastermind, or whoever the hell he is, telling agents to go kill themselves, and it's happening. So we're really close to losing the chief here. And then Matheson, or whatever his name is, got to step up and get my shows mixed up. He's got to step up, and then, like, Peggy kicked his ass, so he's not going to let her out of jail, or the detainment, or whatever you call it. It's going to be horrible. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait to see what they do with it. On Arrow, for this last week, Oliver... Oh, yeah, he's got to adjust back into his own team because he was dead. That happens. Laurel's continuing to ruin the Canary for me, but I just don't understand why they killed her off. Like, it didn't make sense story-wise. Like, why have Merlin hypnotize Thea into killing Sarah? Like, it just... Maybe the actress just wanted out that bad, but like any new actress, don't just kill a character or ruin it. I still want someone to have that metahuman screech. Laurel could even be the boxers. Make a new character for her. Yeah, so that was the long and short of that one. But, like, they're all coming to terms having to work together. Oh, the DJ guy finally turned, and so Ra's al Ghul kind of knows what's going on. They know that Oliver's still alive. So they have a ticking clock of training to go through. Oh, the 100 on this latest episode. Oh, okay. So, like, Bellamy's crawling through the ducts and everything. Like, oh my God, I don't know how they're going to get it because the idiots. There's like 40 of them, and they can't fight these idiots that come to grab them. If like you just go 8 to like each of the five people to 8, each of the 8 people that come into the room to get you, there you got it. Now Bellamy did break them out, so there's that. And the Indian professor went through radiation poisoning. Bellamy managed, or the president told him how to switch the intake for the radiation. So, like, they ended up radiating that floor, which took out a lot of them. But the point is that the 40 or so that are left are free, and they've got weapons. They've got access cards, at least. And all the mountain men that are there on that floor are dead. So there's definitely a chance. There's a chance that this is going to happen if they can wake up the grounders that are in the cages. Hopefully the grounders will still be strong enough to help out, and they can actually escape. Once they escape, acid fog or whatever, they've got to disable that shit and keep it disabled. So unless they irradiate the entire compound, I don't know how this is going to turn out well. And even if they do, now they've got people that are cured of the radiation poisoning. They're adapted or whatever. So it's going to be very interesting because it's going to turn out that like the mountain men are going to be hunted even if they survive this fucking onslaught. And just the audacity of that fucking woman to ask not to be killed. Like, I don't understand how you do that to people. And there was ways to do it without killing them because that's what was happening when they were first doing their experiments. So I don't understand why you bother to kill them. Rotate it out. Even the grounders, when you had them in cages and stuff, like you could like catch and release even, or keep them well and then just use their blood for transfusions. But the missile thing, the missile thing. There's no fucking way. I would have totally called out and been like, hey, look, this is what's happening. We've got to handle it. We've got to get away. We've got to disperse. We've got to find the spotter. We've got to figure out how to do this because there's no way to stop the missile once it launches. So you have to do everything you can to prevent the missile. And even if they think that they might have somebody on the inside, they already kind of know that at this point. I don't see what the fucking point was. Oh, the 100. I love the show, but it's driving me crazy. All right, back on the middle. Let's see. We got Valentine's Day. Okay, this was kind of silly because we're all investigating everybody's relationships. Frankie and Mike just kind of want to do whatever. Darren and Sue are so overly optimistic it hurts. To the point where Darren actually gets in the house, which was kind of freaky because it was a cool, super teeny tiny house. And I actually looked at it and I was like, I wouldn't like to live there. That'd be fine. As ridiculous as that seems. And then, what else was there? Oh, yeah. And then there was the whole thing where, like, Axel and his girl, like, they didn't want to do Valentine's, but they kind of had to do Valentine's, so they didn't do Valentine's. They did National Radio Day. Because the whole problem with Valentine's Day is that it's an arbitrary day, whereas you could choose the day any day of the year. So doing it the day before on your own without it being Valentine's Day as an obligation means a lot more, and I'm all for that. So I was really into that. But Brick's thing, because not only did they forget they were going out for a couple months, or did he forget, you have the thing where he's half her height, which is beautiful. It's a really neat transition. But they had their first kiss, which apparently lasted an hour. Neither one of them know what the fuck they're doing. So, like, they were just like, and the other one would do the same thing. And apparently, like, I like that. I don't know. They'll figure it out eventually. But man, like they were trying to coach Brick into it, and that was all cute. But like he actually gets up and he does it. He grabs her ear flaps on her hat, and he rips them off because they're Velcro. And she's actually into it enough that she leans down for it. So seeing, even if it's that age, seeing two people that are both mutually into it and not it being a one-sided horror fest, I was really into that. I thought it was really cute. Okay, there's a lot. Ow! I just bit my tongue. There's lots of stupid things that happen on Modern Family. The whole thing with Gloria and her sister. I don't know why. Like she was there for Valentine's Day, but Jay, that's his name. So Jay ends up giving like his sister the dog's collar to wear, which was kind of weird. And it actually looked really good on her, which kind of weirded me out that I thought that, but maybe it was a thing. Maybe she knew it was a collar and she was into it. Who knows? Like, just those thoughts are what actually made the situation funny. But like Jay was all like, "Oh, I'm afraid she likes me," and like very publicly they're like, "No, no, no, no." It's like, "Oh, it's my sister. She wouldn't do that." And then like Gloria gets injured, and it turns out she did like him, and maybe she just wanted the money. I don't know. Like that whole relationship is called into question on times, because that's what you do in our horrible society. I would love that to be the case, but if he was an older guy that didn't have all that money, like I think I'd be okay with it more, even though more people would be disgusted with it because they could relate to the idea of doing it for the money, so they're okay with it, which is fucking weird to me out even more. But the whole thing with Phil and shit, I can't remember his cute wife's name. Yeah, we didn't really have much with the kids in this one, which was interesting. But they have a standing date, him, his alter ego, and Juliana, his wife's alter ego, so that they can cheat on each other without actually cheating on each other for Valentine's Day, which I don't know if that's sweet or kinky or what, but it's a thing, and they're both into it, so I'm all for it. But she pulls a fast one on him, and it turns out Juliana and Phil instead of Phil's alter ego. So Phil is cheating on his wife with Juliana, but she's still doing Phil, which is fine, I guess, because she's not into the thing anymore. It's actually a really cute way of ending that whole scenario. Now that I think about it. But he dumps Juliana, and spoilers, I guess. I don't know. And that was what I really liked about it. It's like it's sweet to imagine two people love each other to go through that ridiculous routine year after year. One of them finally gets done with it, and one of the two things happens. Either he's on the same page, and he would have agreed to it ahead of time, even if he was excited for it at first, or he loves his wife that much that when he sees that she's done with it, he is too. And I don't think that he's clever enough to read all the signals she was talking about, because she kind of got offended that he liked Juliana at some point. It's kind of weird. Okay, I watched a couple things today because some things still come out on Saturdays, which is weird, especially since it's the internet when you don't have to do that. But oh yeah, that Bauerschwein, like on Nick's first arrest as a Grimm. So him and Monroe get along really well, but he had to break him out of prison on parole with an ankle bracelet or whatever, to help put away a firebug that ended up accidentally killing 2 kids on an insurance scam. And that's really most of it on that storyline. The interesting part was Adeline coming back into town because her and the captain's brother, I can't remember his name, are still trying to get clues and piece together things. Of course, for whatever reason, Adeline went after Juliet because she could, because she has the power to do so, so who's going to stop her? While Nick wasn't there. And then because Juliet is constantly without Nick and therefore constantly vulnerable as a normal human, she gets targeted all the time. And if she hadn't got this Hexen Beast thing, she probably would have been dead a dozen times over. Like, even on the hunt, it saved her. And I'm really kind of sick of the idea of her being this vulnerable little thing, and not because she's a woman, but because she's a normal human, especially since Hank's never been put in that position. That I can remember. Sergeant Wu kind of got it because they left him on the out for so long, but without trouble around, I'm glad to see that like Juliet stepped up to become this badass woman character, and we finally get the reveal to Nick that she's a hexen beast because he comes home and sees all the damage, and she just looks at everything and she's like, I can't bother cleaning this up. I've got to tell him. That's the thought process you can see going on in her head. I really love that character or that person as an actor and a character. And the last thing we get in the show is that. So the first thing we'll get in the next show is his reaction. And I really, really can't wait to see that. That'll be great. And shame on me because I thought Glee was the better show than Grimm. So that's why I watched it first. But not this time around. We are into transitioning. The best part about this is that Coach Beast has completed her gender reassignment or sexual reassignment surgery, which she doesn't look any different, like body-wise. Like they talked about her getting her breasts removed or reduced or whatever it is. It's not like I think she got like a dangle put on, but she has facial hair. Like you can tell the hormones are balanced back out so that she is guy hormone. Like so, gender-wise, that's what it is. And full support. There's not a single character in the entire show that doesn't support, except for the fucking evil, not New Directions, because that's the good guys. Vocal Adrenaline, that's what it is. Schuster's train. They turn out to be openly supportive of committing crimes, assault with eggs and vandalism and shaving cream with people's car. Like that whole group could be arrested. I don't understand why that wasn't a sting operation. Okay, so things are going on, like gay people kiss. Rachel's parent or dads have sold the house finally, so she has to move. Her childhood's going away. So, like, instead of or showing support for each other seems to be a big theme there. And God, so Schuster ends up having this whole declaration thing with Andy Mays. I forgot her name. Charlie from Heroes. But his wife like ends up having a big discussion with her how he doesn't want the job that he has because they're junkies for winning. Like they don't care what they do to win as long as they come out as a winner. They don't see any consequence to things because no one's enforced consequence. They literally commit crimes in this and own it. To Schuster, when like fucking he should have set him up to do the prank and be arrested, as far as I'm concerned. But instead, like a 300-strong trans choir is there and support a beast, which is a really weird thing to have at the time. I'm glad they did it. Like in real life, I would have been glad they did it because it was really cool to see that. But it was just kind of awkward that like you forced Vocal Adrenaline to see that. I did like the idea that like Sylvester ended up slashing their tires and stuck the hounds on them. That was fun. But it's good to define bad guys because like we did it in a very even period of having lots of protagonists on different sides of the same competition, which is fine. You can have competition and have it be friendly and not super serious like we're seeing. But for whatever reason, I don't know, they needed an evening out to have clear antagonists and protagonists because they went a while without any protagonists, or without any antagonists. I apologize. Those words are hard to get mixed up. Or they themselves were antagonists, and it's better to see New Directions again on the same side and build up like we saw it in Melissa Been Released, and I wish that had just kept going because now we're back to the same point, and I don't want Kitty to be that girl. No offense to that actress, but we've got Rachel Berry back in the scene. Kitty's kind of the alpha dog past her, but I think that's going to take it in a very different direction. We needed Melissa Benoist's character to take it in the direction that I wanted to go, and now that we've got Schuster back, he's going to start taking it back in that direction, but we're not going to have the support out of the kids that we need, and all these older kids need to get the fuck out. So we're going to be left with like maybe Artie, Kitty, the big guy, the twins, like a handful of people. And that's where the show needs to go. And by the end of the season, all these old characters need to be gone. Even if it's the last episode, I hate calling him Porcelain. The gay character that's not Blaine. I don't know. He needs to announce that he's leaving. Rachel needs to announce that she's going back to New York. And they need to be off Glee forever. Banned. If they go and start a new show with the character cast, being like Glee, Where Are They Now? Something like that, fine. But it needs to be done with. I've been talking too long. My throat's hurt, so I'm going to head out of here. Hopefully you're watching some of these shows and enjoying things in this and such. Happy Valentine's Day if you're still doing that sort of thing. But we'll watch a movie. Go watch Horns. Not exactly a romance thing, but hell, it's got it in there. It'll be a good movie to watch. But I am Kamurai. Have a nice day.